Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel, Tech Infatories. Today, we are diving into a story that shook the internet to its core. A massive global disruption at Amazon Web Services, one of the world's biggest cloud providers. On October 20th, 2025, a single failure sent shockwaves across the globe, taking down countless apps and services we use every single day. We're going to break down exactly what happened, why it matters so much, and what this tells us about the hidden fragility of our digital world. Let's get into it. It all started in the early hours of Monday, October 20th. HSH began reporting elevated error rates and latency for services in its massive US East 1 region, located in Virginia. For most of us, that sounds like boring technical jargon. But what happened next was anything? Almost immediately, a chain reaction began. Apps and websites globally started failing. Users reported outages, login issues, broken features. Users were suddenly faced with login errors, frozen screens, and broken features. The first signs of the chaos appeared on social media, with platforms like Snapchat going down. Gamers trying to log into Fortnite and Roblox were met with server errors. Even critical financial services like Venmo and Robinhood began reporting major problems. AWS quickly confirmed the issue was centered in their US East 1 region and scrambled their engineers, who began working on multiple parallel paths to get things back online. So, just how bad was it? The list of affected services is staggering and shows just how interconnected everything is. We saw major outages across entertainment, gaming, social media, finance, and even government services. As it is mentioned, gamers on Roblox and Fortnite were completely locked out. But it wasn't just fun and games. Amazon's own ecosystem was hit hard. Alexa smart speakers went silent. Prime Video streams stopped. And Ring doorbells suddenly couldn't connect, leaving some people without access to their home security feeds. The financial world felt the tremors too. Payment apps like Venmo, Chime, and Robinhood, along with the crypto exchange Coinbase, all experienced disruptions. And this wasn't just a US problem. Over in the UK, major banks like Lloyds and the Bank of Scotland reported issues, and even the government's Tax and Customs Service, HMRC, was impacted. The scale of this was captured by outage tracking websites like Down Detector, which logged over 6.5 million user reports from dozens of countries. The reason the impact was so widespread is simple. AWS is the invisible backbone for a huge chunk of the internet. From tiny startups to massive corporations, countless digital services rely on it for everything from web hosting to data processing. When it stumbles, the ripple effect is enormous. So, what was the technical glitch that caused this global digital meltdown? According to AWS, the problem started within its US East 1 region. The issue was traced back to a subsystem responsible for monitoring its network load balancers, basically, the traffic cops of the internet. But the real knockout punch was dealt to a critical component called the domain name system, or DNS. You can think of DNS as the internet's phone book. It translates human-readable web addresses, like google.com, into the numerical IP addresses that computers use to find each other. When DNS fails at this scale, it's like the internet develops temporary amnesia. Services become unreachable, not because their data is lost, but because the pathways to access that data are suddenly gone. A cybersecurity professor described it perfectly, calling it a moment of temporary amnesia for vast parts of the web. AWS communicated that they were working on the fix, and while most operations eventually resumed, some services remained slow or throttled as the system recovered. At first glance, you might just shrug this off as another tech outage. Some apps went down, life goes on, right? But the bigger lesson here is a stark warning about our deep reliance on a tiny number of cloud infrastructure providers. This event has become a massive wake-up call. When one of these digital giants sneezes, the entire internet catches a cold. Commentators and experts are now reigniting a crucial debate. Should companies be diversifying their cloud providers to avoid putting all their digital eggs in one basket? And perhaps more importantly, Should governments start treating these major cloud firms as critical national infrastructure, just like power grids or water supplies? In the UK, for example, the Treasury Committee is already asking why AWS isn't designated as a critical third party for the financial sector. The financial cost of an outage like this is hard to calculate, but is certainly in the billions, from lost productivity, failed transactions, and damage to brand trust. And that trust is a major key. If a payment app, a bank, or a home security system fails when you need it most, the consequences go way beyond a simple technical hiccup. Behind all the corporate logos and technical jargon, there are millions of real people who were directly affected. Gamers who were looking forward to unwinding with Fortnite or Roblox were met with frustrating server error messages. Families relying on their Ring doorbells for security suddenly found their video feeds were dead. People trying to make urgent payments, check their bank balance, or trade stocks on their phones were stuck, with transactions failing or being endlessly delayed. Of course, the internet did what it does best. Social media exploded with memes and jokes about the rehearsal for the end of the internet. But for businesses, it was no laughing matter. They faced a storm of missed sales, angry customers, and internal support teams being completely overwhelmed. Some online merchants even warned of a potential spike in chargebacks from customers whose payments failed during the outage. It's a powerful reminder that these digital services are not just code. They are deeply woven into the fabric of our daily lives and livelihoods. So, where do we go from here? And how can we all be better prepared for the next big one? For businesses, the lesson is crystal clear. Architect for redundancy. Don't rely on a single cloud provider or even a single geographic region. Test your failover systems regularly so that when a disruption happens, you can switch to a backup seamlessly. For the rest of us, as consumers, the takeaway is to remember that even the biggest platforms can and do fail. It's smart to have alternative ways to pay for things, to keep local backups of your most important data, and to have offline copies of anything you absolutely depend on for work or life. And for governments and regulators, this event is a catalyst. The discussion about whether to regulate major cloud providers as critical infrastructure is no longer theoretical. It's a pressing issue. Civil society groups and academics have been pointing this out for years, and now the argument is stronger than ever. While AWS managed to get most of its services back online relatively quickly, the core DNS issue was reportedly mitigated by around 6:35 a.m. Eastern Time. The full recovery. Clearing backlogs and getting everything running at 100% took much longer. This whole incident is a powerful, if humbling, reminder that the internet we rely on is both incredibly powerful and surprisingly fragile. A single point of failure in one critical hub can send ripples across the entire globe in minutes. Thanks so much for watching. This outage shows just how much our digital lives depend on complex systems we rarely ever see. And when they fail, we all feel it. If you found this breakdown useful, please give this video a like. And if you're new here, consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon so you don't miss our next deep dive into the tech stories that matter. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Should these cloud giants be regulated? Were you personally affected by this outage? Drop a comment below and share your story. Until next time, stay connected and maybe have a backup plan. Now it's time to say goodbye till our next Tech Info Stories.